Hi, I'm Hannah Howard. I'm the editor-in-chief at ParentCo, and I'm so excited to be here today with Alison Jacobson. She's the CEO and executive director at First Candle, and we're going to be talking about safety and babies and some really important stuff. Welcome, Alison. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
What brought you to First Candle, and what brought you to the work that you do?
First Candle is over 40 years old, a nonprofit. It started out as the SIDS Alliance, and I got involved actually in 1997 when unfortunately my first son died of SIDS at daycare. He was 3 months and 24 days old. He seemed perfectly healthy. And I took a seat on the board of directors at the SIDS Alliance, stayed there, and then went on to have 3 other children. And then I came back to First Candle in 2016, and it really felt like coming home. So excited to be heading up this organization that is so important and doing such important work.
Tell me more about First Candle and the important work that you do.
So First Candle's mission is to prevent sudden unexpected infant deaths while providing bereavement support to families who have tragically lost a baby. And the reality is 3,700 babies still die every year from sleep-related infant deaths. And unfortunately, people don't realize it is the leading cause of death for children, not just 1 year of age, but of all deaths for all children from 0 to 19.
Yeah, it just seems like incredibly important work. To talk more about that work, it sounds like you have 2 different sides. Like you mentioned, there's the support of families who've lost a baby, and then also your education and advocacy work. Can you talk about those 2 dual missions and how they work together?
Families want to do the best they can for their babies, but unfortunately, they don't necessarily have the information. And it is so heartbreaking to me to be in our support groups and hear the agonizing stories from these families who said, no one ever told me. I didn't know. Now, the reality is, when you're having a baby, you know what it's like. You're exhausted when you're in the hospital and you get that little bag with a little bit of information in it. And come on, we're not all reading that.
How do you kind of cut through that noise? And with that, do you have like a few fundamental tips that you would tell new parents to practice safe sleep?
First of all, you're right. There is so much misinformation out there these days, and it's hard. While there is that gold standard of safe sleep, we know that's not realistic for so many families. And so what we want to say is, look, we know you're doing your best, and we know you're exhausted, and you are going to fall asleep with your baby on your chest when you're watching TV. And unfortunately, we know that babies have died in that instance. And so what we try to say is, if you feel tired, put your baby down. The other thing is, yes, we want to have your baby in a crib that is in the same room with mom and dad, but not the same bed. But the number one thing is get blankets out of that crib. The greatest risk for accidental suffocation and suicide is really that 1 month to 4 months of age before they're rolling over. And we get a lot of emails from anxious parents who say, oh my gosh, my baby rolled over and I can't get them to roll back over the other way. That does happen. That's why tummy time is so important. You want to immediately get them being able to strengthen their upper body so that they can roll both ways. Still, you want to keep stuffed animals out of the crib, the blankets, the pillows, because they could get into, the side of the crib and get their nose right up and not move over. But you can start breathing easy once they hit that 6-month mark.
We talk about this at ParentCo, and it sounds like you do as well, that the sort of realities of exhaustion, sometimes there's postpartum mental health challenges, a lack of support. Night times can be really hard. Do you have any compassionate and realistic advice to help families kind of just get through those nights safe and sound?
Well, I'm glad you brought up about postpartum mental health because it's a big issue. And that's why in a lot of our programming and education, we talk to dads and grandparents about the signs of postpartum depression, because a lot of times moms won't say anything and moms don't even recognize the signs and the symptoms. So it's important that everybody around mom also understand that. When they say sleep when the baby sleeps, it's so true. If you can find those support systems within your community, even if it's not your partner, but maybe it's a best friend, maybe it's a neighbor who can help you in those times during the day where you can get some sleep. There's nothing wrong with putting a crying baby in a crib. It's okay. A crib is a safe place as long as there's nothing in there. If you need to get some sleep, it's okay. You're not abandoning your baby. You're not putting your baby at harm. If anything, you're making sure your baby is safe in that crib, even if they're crying. We know that parents want to do the best for their families. And so, no, you are a great parent. You are doing everything you can. We have so many resources for families on our site, which is firstcandle.org. You can go there. We are a nonprofit. We rely on donations to keep doing what we're doing. And unfortunately, we are one of the few organizations that are talking about safe sleep in this way of no blame, no shame, and partnering. So go there and take a look at all of our resources.
Amazing. I will definitely be sharing those via ParentCo and personally. So thank you, firstcandle.org. Thank you so much, Alison. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for chatting today. And I look forward to collaborating more.
Absolutely. Thank you.